Okay guys, welcome to the first ever video of Chatham Road Junction. Being recorded during the middle of the crisis of COVID-19, so got a bit of spare time in our hands, so I thought eventually we'll get to the point of launching the YouTube channel. A little bit late because we've already done a little bit of work on the layout, but I'll give you guys an update as where we're up to so far, and then we'll carry on with updates in the future of what we get done, what goes well but what goes wrong inevitably. And hopefully you enjoy watching how the layout comes together. It's an ngauge layout, it's going to be DCC. We're going to stick with analog for certain bits and pieces, i.e. the point motors, just so the kids have got a bit of operational fun as they come into the shed and have a play. And I think I will wire them up also for operation via my NCE power cab, but just so the kids have got something to come in and flick the buttons on and keep them interested, keep them out of trouble a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you a quick tour of what we've got going on in the shed so far. I'll give you a quick run around the layout and show you how I've laid the track down, and then what we're going to do is show you some bits and pieces of the track which I'm going to decide to take up and relay slightly differently, just because I really struggle to use any sort of track planning software. Not that I don't know how to use it, it's just when I'm sat in front of a computer I really struggle to actually try and come up with any ideas or decide where things are going to go. So I much prefer just to start laying track and then take them from there really. So let's grab this camera and turn it around. Oh, okay, so it's a 10 by 8 shed. Door is on the one end. Got the electrics sort of rigged up in the corner there. We'll have to tidy them up at some point, but it's working, which is the main thing. And I just run the extension cable into the house once I come into the shed. Bit of shelving up on the top here, just some bits and pieces. And then we've got a lot of old N-gauge buildings and some old double L-gauge buildings from my last layout in the loft, which will go on eBay eventually. And then over to the other side of the shed again, just a little bit of shelving, keep some bits and pieces up here. And then underneath the baseboards, come down, we've got bin in the corner, a couple of toolboxes with some bits and pieces, railway magazines, drills, bits and pieces, and then a few cupboards with some, let's give you a look, some scenery bits in here, paintbrushes, tools, screwdrivers, set squares, bits like that, and then some scatters and some trees in the bottom of there. Again, all boxes full of bits and pieces that we will get around to sorting out eventually. Some more trees down there, bit of rolling stock in the boxes under here, and then just some scratch building material, bits and pieces that we save, cardboard boxes for building with, some odds and ends, some styrene in there as well. And we've got a heater on at the minute because it's a bit cold in the shed tonight. And then going up to the layout, so as I said earlier, I'm using the power cab for the DCC. Just got an analog controller rigged up here, which we're just testing some point motors with at the minute before they get installed. And then if I take you over to the main area of the layout, this is going to be the station area. We're going to have one platform, two platforms, three platforms, 4 and 5 here, and then this side I'm probably going to leave bare for the time being because as I'll explain to you, I'm going to change the layout a little bit, so there won't be any space there for a platform. Going around, exiting the station, and under the tunnel we'll have a town area which I've just built the frame for at some 4mm MDF, and then some rails and a bit of 12mm just to get to the correct height. To that side as well. There we go. Nice and simple, just constructed, and some supports put in underneath. There we go. Doesn't have to look good because it's all going to be covered up in the end, so as long as it's the right size and the right shape, that's all that matters. Let's pop that back into the corner. There we go. And then exiting the town, this front section just here, it's going to be a fueling point and a little bit of storage maybe for a log or two. And then coming further on round, we're going to start to enter the countryside sort of area, which as you can see has got the incline built up at the back, and the mud rock's gone on the very back section. It's all going to be tidied up, and I'll do a video at some point of that being done. It goes all the way around the back and then down the other side. As you can see in this countryside area where the main line will run through at the back, we're going to have a branch line station between these two rails here, probably just with the two platforms, one on either side. And then carrying on round, I'm not too sure really why I've put this crossing in here. That's probably going to come out because it doesn't really make any sense, but never mind, it just went in for the time being. Carrying on all the way around, the interline section comes down and joins back onto the main lines. The branch line carries on round, and then all those go into the main station area. Back corner over there will be an industry of some sort. Again, I haven't decided exactly what just yet. We'll see what fits when we get near the time and we get a bit of scenery going in. Probably, I imagine it'll be some sort of storage yard, container yard, which I've just popped them containers there for the time being, but those exact ones probably won't fit with the era that I'm planning on doing. I'm going to be looking at doing probably around the 80s, maybe into the very early 90s, but probably not much later than that, I'd imagine. And then yeah, back into the station area. So that's where we've got up to so far. If we just pop back underneath the baseboard, we'll show you what we've got going on with the wiring. So we've got the, don't ask me why they're orange and purple, it's just a wire that I've got. And while we're in this lockdown period, I'm trying just to use up pretty much everything that I had in the shed from an old layout and from what my grandfather passed down to me. So it being quite a decent gauge, we've used that for the bus wire, and then I had just one big roll of black cable, which isn't ideal because I haven't been able to separate positive from negative, but well, it's only going to be me that suffers in the end, so I've just decided to use it. All the droppers are wired in, as you can see, and that goes all the way around the baseboard, wires everywhere, all the way around. I've put some junction boxes in at points, as you can see, just to group up some of the droppers rather than having millions of individual connections to the bus wire. Just keeps it all a little bit simpler. Again, all the way around and then back under the main station area to here. Okay, so that's the tour of the layout. I hope you got a decent gist of the track layout, just to give you one more flowing scan around so you can try and make sense of it if my camera work hasn't been very good. And there we go. Okay, now you probably noticed I've got some points laid out on various sections of the layout. A couple more over here. One more on this side as well on the main line. And then yeah, that's it at the moment. These are out basically. Oh sorry, I missed one. There's another one. Just because I'm not too happy with how the main line station connects to the branch line station. So locals coming off the main line can switch onto the inside line, go under the town, come out on this line here, come into the branch line station, or go into the main line station. So that bit's okay, I'm quite happy with that. Come into the branch line station. I've got one line down here at the minute for storage, and with a point going off, which backs down under the town, through the tunnel, and then into the fueling point. So might not look 100% realistic, but I'm happy with that, so we're going to stick with that. But this side over here is where I'm not really happy with. You can't go from the main line into the branch line from that direction. So we're going to put another crossover in here with these 2 points. I'll lay these ones out somewhere around here, but obviously it's not going to fit quite like that, so we're going to have to change that a little bit. I think what I'm probably going to do is, just to keep it looking a bit better, is the inside main line, carry on with it and run it adjacent to the outside main line, and then pop the crossover in 1 point here and 1 point probably around here, and then just have another section of track between the two, joining those up so the trains can come into the branch line station from the main line from both directions. So that's those 2 points. And then again, this is just because I've literally just popped into the shed and laid track down without much prior thinking, to be honest. I'm quite happy really with how it's turned out, but it was never going to be perfect because, well, it's just literally done by ear, so it was never going to be. So I've decided I'm going to put a point in on this main line here, fill this gap between the 2 rails and have another line running between the 2. It's not going to join up on this side because it'll all get a little bit too messy, but I can have another line in there, and that'll give me another 2 platforms in between these lines here. So it'll end up being quite a substantial station with 7 platforms rather than the 5 that was originally intended. I've been having a little bit of a play around with ideas of how I'm going to get access to this station, because obviously I've got the line going down to the industrial area down the back, which joins onto the main line down there. And I think what I'm going to do is, I'm not too sure if it's going to be on the town side or on this side just yet, but have a raised road section coming out of the back scene across these rails, and then probably in this area have the actual main station building with car park, etc. But again, we'll see when we get there. It can change. The other points down here that I've got laid out, I'm going to join, I think at the minute, onto here, and that's going to give me 3 sidings to run down the length of this board. I'll probably extend them slightly as well, just to give me more storage on top of the baseboard. Ideally I'd like a lot more storage than that, so my other plan is, before I finish the mud rock on this bottom section of the incline here, is I'm going to pop this point in around here, probably a little bit further off actually, because I've got a support just under the baseboard here. And what we're going to do is, this section, once the mud rock goes in, I'm going to bring it across and down before they get to the line here, and we're going to lose this track into a tunnel somewhere around here just after the support under the board. I'm going to cut a section out, and that's then going to drop down out of sight, which you won't see obviously because it'll be inside the tunnel. I'm going to run underneath the baseboard down this end, under the baseboard all the way around here, and then come out on this side, and I'm going to have a new board that I'll put in along here, maybe carry it on all the way down, we'll see, I don't know. And I've just laid a couple of points out on the board down here so I can have a few sidings under the board which I can access quite easily, and be able to change trains and bring different ones in and out without having to constantly take rolling stock on and off the track. And that'll go all the way down there. The rest of the board I'm probably going to face off with some ply or some Formula MDF just to give it a bit of a nicer finish. And then the section under here, I'll do a video on that once we get to it and decide how we're actually going to enclose that fiddle yard while still being able to have decent access to the wiring and to the yard itself. And so far guys, that's where we're up to. Just turn around this way. So, by the changes to the track which I've talked to you about, we are in with the track, we're in with the droppers, we're in with a little bit of the back scene. I was happy with that, I was never going to change that, so I put the mod rock in while we've had a bit of time. That's gone off now. I did that a few days ago, and as you can see, I just tested a little bit of base colour. Maybe a little bit light, so I might mix a bit more black into that before we go all the way around. Just give the scene a nice base colour before any static grass etc goes on there. Actually, while we're doing the video, let's have a quick look at this little piece. Some of you might have seen this online, making your own static grass applicator, and this is what I came up with the other day. An old fly swatter. Took it apart, put some new Duracell batteries in it to give it some juice, and then the positive and negative terminals just inside here. The positive one, as you can see, it's got a close up, is wired up to the tea strainer. Negative one coming out of the side, and a little nail on the end, which goes into the board when you got your glue on it, just to give you the ground. And I tried this out and tested it. See if we can do this while holding the camera. Probably not, actually. You can see the light comes on when you hold the button. Let's just pop this camera down somewhere where you're going to be able to see it. Is it going to fall? Is it going to fall? It might fall. So if it falls, yeah, we've fallen. There we go. I thought it might do. Don't worry, I might show you that end of the video, but trust me, when we charge that up and touch the nail onto the strainer, we get quite a nice spark. And I have done a little test piece actually, which I don't know what I've done with it. Did I pop it in the bin and throw it away? Excuse the beer cans, but it's my prerogative to have a beer and a cigarette while we're making the layout away from the wife and the kids. Okay, so yes, that's it so far, guys. So hopefully we'll get a few subscribers, well, at least a few views anyway, never mind subscribers, and that'll give me a bit more motivation to do a few more videos and show you how the layout comes along. Hope you're all staying safe and well and isolated during this coronavirus pandemic. Hope you're all keeping busy doing your own layouts, or at least coming up with some ideas for any layouts that you got planned. Any questions or comments, guys, leave them in the section below. And if you want to hit the subscribe button and catch the next video that I do, which probably won't be too far away because we've got quite a lot of time on our hands, you'll be able to watch the next episode. Lovely. Thank you very much.